ask me questions about anything. If it's something I can talk about, I'm more than happy to talk about it. Have I ever met Miyamoto or Kojima-san? No, I actually have never met either of them, and I would really like to. The coolest Japanese person that I've ever met is Miyazaki-san, who did all the, Spirited Away and a whole bunch of awesome anime. I met him at a cherry blossom party in Tokyo. It was a very, very humbling experience and really awesome. But yeah, I would love to meet Miyamoto-san. All right, so yeah, I would play Landmark, but I am really bad at building things. Like I was watching Dave, during our live stream this Wednesday, we had Dave showing off the microvoxels, and I was just almost like crying because like I can't even get the stuff to line up right. Like it's really my stuff is really sad, and so yeah, I haven't been playing Landmark. I'm hoping that once we get a few more features in where there's some of the danger and adventuring, that's kind of where I start to, you know, look better in the game. And so I think I'll stream some fairly soon. But for the moment, I'm going to stream Hearthstone because it's something I'm good at, something that's like pretty easy for me to play, so that I can spend more time talking to you. Yeah, I agree. I should get that scrolling chat thingy in the corner. I haven't done that yet, but maybe for the next stream I'll have it. I just want to know what the new biomes are like. Well, so they're called tundra and old growth forest, and so the tundra is what you expect. It's very snow, ice, all that stuff, and the old growth forest. Really, like if you lived in one of those temperate climates like Oregon or Virginia, somewhere like that, where there's a lot of forest, it looks like that, and it's going to be pretty cool. We're going to be showing that off next week on the live stream for sure. Wolf, of course. Scotch is mandatory on my streams. Scotch is mandatory. Pants are optional. But yeah, tonight I'm drinking a Lagavulin Distillers Edition, which is really, really nice. It's very smoky, very strong. One of my favorites. I usually only bust it out for special occasions, but I'm feeling pretty good this weekend, so I thought it would be a good one to start with. And also, welcome everyone. It's nice to see so many names that I recognize and a few that I don't. So please don't be shy. Ask any questions you got. I'm happy to talk about them. Oh, see, Stackus, though, I got it all set up to for Moobot to actually spam out those links every once in a while. I think every 5 or 10 minutes. But yeah, so I'm actually transitioning away from that Da Damiata page on YouTube because that was just my username from like 15 years ago or whenever I signed up, and it doesn't mean anything. So I actually changed it to the Omid Daryani because for some reason Omid Daryani is taken, which never happens. So that's the YouTube page that I'm going to start building out. What is my Landmark character name? I actually have two characters, one that I don't share, but one is named Omid. I can't believe I got that one because I created the other one first. And then like the second or third day of alpha, I went back and created another character. I was like, I wonder if Omid is there. And yeah, no problem. All right, let me go ahead and I want to build my rank last, and I haven't played any, so I'm still Angry Chicken number 25 right now, which is pretty fun. I have 6 decks, and you guys can pick which one I'm playing first. You can see them here. Aggro Efficient is a very generic rogue deck. Midrange Lock is the only one that I feel like I've created that I'm really excited about. It's kind of a different Warlock deck than what we've normally seen. Generic Druid is just that. It's probably the worst of these decks. Beast Aggro is a very aggressive beast deck. Stall Priest is something I built this morning and is interesting, but I don't know how good it is. And 1/1 build is something that I'm trying out, which is really trying to build around the paladin's special ability, the make a 1/1 guy, and have that sort of carry the deck. I tested it out in casual a few times today, and it went okay. So I don't know. Do you guys have any opinions on where I start? Let's see. Dave tweeted, "Expect EverQuest next in 728 days." Did he really tweet that? That sounds crazy. It's tough to say, tough to keep up with everything that Dave tweets. Let's see. I'm just reading the chat and trying to catch up. All right, I see a few, and we'll play a few. Let's try the priest first. I'm seeing that and the mid-range lock, but we'll definitely play both, and I can talk you through them. This deck is just, it's kind of weird. I'm just trying to build something control-y and around light wells and, sort of big defensive dudes, and getting the priest mirror match at level 25. That's that's going to be pretty interesting, I'm sure. So Constructed plays a lot differently than Arena in Hearthstone. Much faster, much more dangerous. So you definitely want to mulligan much more aggressively. So I'm gonna get rid of the 6 because I think that's almost always a good idea. Oh, hey Geek Domo, how you doing? And Geek Domo, if you guys, I think most of you follow him as well, but you definitely should. He does a lot of good streams. So I'm going to ship the Shadow Word Death because it's also late. I'm going to keep this Divine Spirit because these two cards have synergy, and if they go off, sometimes your opponent just concedes. And that'll be pretty fun. Hey, Piri, how are you doing? Oh, and Krona and Aslan. And, wow, I recognize a lot of names. Paradox Moose, Wolf. It's so great to see a whole bunch of people I know. Alright, and now this is starting off very poorly. I guess that I will have to use my coin to Shadow Word Pain this guy. It's amazing how annoying the Northshire Cleric is. It really is basically like one of the hardest cards to play around on turn 1 in the whole game. Wow, this guy has several cards that are going to be annoying for me. So I really want to play the Loot Hoarder, but I just can't because of him. I think I'm just going to lose. I'm going to say go here. Tiggs, yeah, I'm playing a priest. I'm playing constructed right now, not limited, because they just reset the rankings. So I thought it would be fun. Also, I can pay a little bit less attention because it's not as live or die every moment. And, I want to get my ranking up. Last season, I got up to rank 9, and then I kind of hit the wall and ran out of time. So I want to see if I can get up a little bit higher this season. Oof. This game is just going very badly. So I'm going to just play this guy and hope for the best. And assuming that, he's probably going to have some way to kill him, and if he does, then I'm in a lot of trouble. Well, with the wonderfully sensitive mic, you'll probably hear the airplane that's going overhead right now, so apologies for that. Let's see. Oh, good. He didn't have... Oh, that's annoying. Didn't have a straight way to kill it, but messed me up pretty bad. I'm probably just going to need to concede this game. Let's see what card I draw. Yeah, this game's not going to go well. But this is the great thing about constructed in the lower levels, right, is you can just lose these games out real fast and keep going. Let's see. Somebody asked if I have any tips for people who are starting out in this. Yeah, absolutely. My first tip is you need to earn all the cards for the basic decks, and that's just going to help you get familiar with all the different play styles. And then from there, I recommend starting to play Arena. And because the arena, once you get to the point where you're competent at it, will just earn you better returns than buying packs and allow you to build your collection more. But until you build your collection a significant amount, either by buying some cards or by winning out in the arena, you're not going to be able to make super, super competitive decks. So I highly recommend it. And learning limited in these games, and when I say limited, one piece of feedback I got last time, which I thought was really interesting, and I'm going to switch to the big camera since I'm going to talk for a couple minutes. One of the pieces of feedback I got was that because a lot of my fans are more EverQuest players and less TCG players, I might be using a little too much trading card game terminology, so I'll try to explain a little bit of that too as I go. So limited means anytime that you're playing with very limited choice card pools, which Arena in Hearthstone is. I show you 3 cards, you pick one of them, and you keep doing this until you have your whole deck. That's opposed to Constructed, which is you take all the cards in your collection and then you try to build the best deck that you can. So what I'm playing right now is Constructed, using all the cards in my collection to build the best decks I can. Now, I've been playing for a while and I've only spent $2, so I don't have all the cards. I have a fairly significant amount of the legendaries, but it is still taking some amount of time to do that. So I'd recommend getting good at Arena first, and the best way to do that is to grab something called Anti-Gravity's pick order list, which is a Google document, and it just has an incredible amount of advice for which cards are better than other cards. And hopefully, as I'm playing through a few games, I can show you some of the best techniques, some of the rules of thumb that will just make you a much better player very quickly. All right, let me see. Read some more questions here. Daystars, do you think it will ever get to the point where templates in Landmark work akin to the props, where you can place them inside other elements without contaminating the aesthetics? Layering, basically. Yeah, that's a nice Photoshop term, right? And it does sometimes feel like Landmark has Photoshop elements to it. And yeah, the goal, I think, is to get to the point where you can drop templates inside of other templates. Because, we want you to be able to package up really small things, too. So, portions of something that you would actually want to template later. Let's see. Do I play Lon, which is Legends of Norath? And if not, why? I actually don't play Legends of Norath. I've played it a few times before. It came out at a time when I was really focused on other trading card games, so I wasn't interested in it. And one thing that's interesting, one thing that makes Hearthstone really interesting right now is trading card games are really good to get into early. And once they go by, it becomes a lot more difficult to get all the cards and figure out your collection and all of that stuff too. So, just the history and complexity of them goes up over time. So when you get in early, it's much easier to play. By the time I got around to trying to play Legends of Norath, it had gotten sufficiently complex, and I just never really picked it up. All right, let's see. Any chance of a co-op game with Mrs. Omid? Well, Mrs. Omid plays games occasionally. The game we play together most often is Scrabble, and she is incredibly good at Scrabble. So it is just like watching a small child get beaten up. She is a super smart lady and was in the National Spelling Bee and just has that way with words. And for whatever reason, even though I'm a writer, I've never actually been that good at games like that. So it's really, I've played a lot to the point where I can beat her 20% of the time or so. And I feel really good anytime that happens. All right, let me see what else we got. Will we ever have the option to aim with the mouse without right-clicking on Landmark, like the aim system in Elder Scrolls or Terra? I'm actually not sure. I think that it's very likely that the systems in EverQuest Next and in Landmark will function differently, and since EverQuest Next is a little far out, I really have no idea what they're thinking on that UI yet. Aslan asks, You've been with Sony for a while and played EQ1 and EQ2. Were you a casual gamer or a hardcore raider? What were your favorite aspects of each game? Well, so I played a lot of EQ1. I didn't play that much EQ2. Actually came back and started playing it a little bit when I started at Sony. I played a lot of World of Warcraft. With EQ1, I was pretty hardcore. I didn't actually get into the endgame content because I was playing with a friend of mine a lot, and then I moved to Seattle to work for Wizards of the Coast, and that job just got incredibly, incredibly busy, and I wasn't able to keep up with it. But in World of Warcraft, I was a hardcore raider. I ended up starting a progression guild. We did okay. The guild proved too much to manage, but I definitely did high level progression rating for a while and really enjoy it. Like, it's just such a tremendous time commitment. It's really hard. I mean, like, I really like this. I like live streaming, and it's really hard to even just find the time to do that with work. Hardcore rating is one of those things that takes a significant portion of your life and a significant commitment. So that makes it difficult. The same is true of pretty much everything I played. And I saw someone asked a while ago if I ever play Civ 5, and the answer is yes. I love Civilization 5. I love it so, so, so much. I've been playing Civ since, I think Civ 2 was the first one I had. I play them, I mod them. I get really into Firaxis games. Same is true for XCOM, is another one of my favorites. All the way back to Sid Meier's Gettysburg, which, I mean, if anyone even remembers that, man, I loved that game. I actually was toying with the idea of streaming it just to show people, because not that many people have even heard of it anymore. Let's see. I mentioned getting a hero to level 25. What happens then? So what I was talking about, James, was in Hearthstone. There's a ladder play. There's ranks. And everyone starts at level 25, which is the worst rank, and goes up towards legendary, level 1, and then into legendary. So they reset every month. Last month I got up to rank 10. So this month I want to see if I can get, at least a 7 or 8. And I really just, the problem that I have is time, and I really haven't had that much time to commit to it. I'm pretty sure that I could get up to legendary with enough time. And so I'm trying to do that in my spare time. Oh yeah, Daystars. I didn't play that much EQ2, but I did play a fair amount of Swig. I played just tons and tons of Swig until I got a different job with Upper Deck, which was starting a TCG arm, and that ended up just sucking my life away too, or sucking my gaming life away. So I just didn't have time to keep up with it anymore. Geek Domo was a Civil War reenactor. That doesn't surprise me at all. Oh, Geek Domo, we should definitely, I don't know if the old Gettysburg client actually supports any modern matchmaking, but we should definitely see if we could hook that up and fight each other. That would be really fun. Let's see. Will we be getting more support for AMD GPUs? Yes. We are going to support the full range of everything, and we're just in alpha right now, so optimizing everything as we go. All right, and so for folks who have just joined, welcome. Nice to see you. We are giving out Prime Grapplers for EverQuest Next Landmark. All you have to do is be in the chat and be following me. So just make sure you click the follow button, and we will take care of that. Geek Domo, yeah, it's not on Good Old Games. I actually just looked this morning. That really bummed me out. I think pretty much every other old Sid Meier game is, except Gettysburg. I wonder what the deal is. Did I start out on MUDs? And let me go ahead and start another game here, because I think I've gotten to the bottom of the scroll. Did I start out by playing MUDs? Well, I actually didn't have a computer for a long time. I was on consoles, so I started with Atari 2600, got a Nintendo, and then got Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. It really wasn't until I was in college that I got computers, and so from that point on, I was playing computer games very very hardcore. Uh, and I played one Mud, but by the time I had a computer, EverQuest was out, and so that was really my first experience playing large scale MMOs. All right, so I'm running the priest deck again. We'll see how this goes. Uh, I'll ditch this guy out and keep the Harvest Golem Power World Shield. It's possible that this priest deck is just terrible. Like I said, I built it this morning and played it a couple times in the casual thing, which is just going to be full of fairly bad people at the moment, probably. I had a 186 EXE of Qbert that ran so fast you couldn't see it on a 286. Yeah, I know what you mean. I actually used to play a lot of the old MechWarrior games or BattleTech games, and they they just won't run at all on anything. They're so accelerated. I really want to find copies of those old games because they're so much fun. At least has a fairly competent rogue deck so far, so this may not go that well. And if I just get crushed this game, then I won't play this priest deck again. Um, but so I'll play Harvest Golem. Now, if you want to know how to get better at Hearthstone, the board right now is a very good example of this. You know, you want to look for cards that give you two cards for the price of one, right? This Defias Ringleader very literally gives you two cards for the price of one, right? You get a 2/2 and a 2/1. The Harvest Golem also does this, right? So you have to kill him once, and then another guy shows up, so you have to kill him twice. You know, in the worst case scenario, your opponent actually has to spend two cards killing him. And if he, uses two of his cards for every one of my cards I use, you can see very quickly how I'm going to win. This is a concept that we call card advantage. And card advantage is one of the primary ways that you become good at trading card games. So now he's smart here. He's going to attack with the weapon, because the weapon really costs him nothing. And now he gets to keep his guys out. See, again, another 2-for-1 card. And unfortunately, my deck is really not good. Yeah, it is really not good. So I will just play this and be sad. And most likely we'll just be playing another one. Kibble, I actually haven't tried the Oculus Rift. We have them in the office. And what's really funny is I found out that I'm in the Oculus Rift demo that they had at Steam Dev Days. Last E3, Oculus Rift just did a 360 capture of E3, like as you're going through, right when the day started, and I was just standing right out front. So Mark Tuttle, who's our director of e-commerce, took the demo and was like, yeah, so I'm looking around, and then I look over to my right and I'm like, oh, damn it, there's Omid. Like, how much crappier can my life be that I have to see Omid even in virtual reality? Yeah, so I'm going to get crushed this game. Oh, that was a great card to draw. So again, on that concept of card advantage, Azure Drake is probably one of the most efficient cards in Hearthstone because it immediately draws you a card. It's a 4/4 for 5 mana, so it's very efficient when you compare it to other cards as well. Did I play MechWarrior 2? Yes, I played a lot of that. I liked the older 3D Battletech games better, but yeah, I played a lot of MechWarrior 2. I certainly PPC headshotted my fair share of Battle Masters. Let's see. Carmageddon. Oh man, that's awesome. I didn't know that they're doing a reboot of that. That's really great. So let's see. Yeah, my opponent is deciding whether he just wants to try to kill me or if he. Wow. So I'm gonna guess that my opponent is actually not very good because he's playing a really gimmicky deck, like just all of these guys that are gonna let him get 2 cards for 1. And now, if I had, say, Holy Nova, I would absolutely crush him this turn. But I don't think I even have them in my deck because, like I said, this deck is pretty terrible. I'm just gonna go ahead and concede this game because there's no way I'm gonna win. And let's never speak of this again. Alright, let's see. JDM Forever, you want to face me in Hearthstone? Well, absolutely you can. This is my, what do you call it, handle. So anyone can feel free to add me, and I will play people pretty much anytime. Now, a lot of times I have to apologize. I'm like playing a game on my lunch break or something like that, so I'm really only going to get to play the game that I'm playing, and I get a lot of requests for games, and just hope that people don't think that I'm being rude. But apologies if I don't actually get back to you in game. Let's see. Battletech was my favorite anime. Yeah, Battletech was awesome. Yeah, Kimball says Landmark is perfect visually for Oculus Rift or virtual reality as a whole. We think so too. We aren't, we haven't said for sure whether or not we're going to support Oculus Rift, but we have them in the office and we're testing it out and we're looking into it because we think it's awesome too. So I've switched over to my Warlock deck, and this deck is my own creation. It's Greenface 1929. There it is again. And this deck is my own creation, and this is the deck that primarily I got to level 9 on. So the goal of this deck is actually just to play really, really efficient cards and use the mana very efficiently every turn, so that because the Warlock ability is so powerful to just draw an extra card, I can get ahead of people and never look back. So I play fairly aggressively in the early part of the game, and then they think that it's going to be like a Murloc deck, one that's just trying to kill you immediately. But it actually isn't. It's more of a control deck. So I think people have a hard time playing against it or figuring out what it's doing before it starts. And so, yeah, for people just joining the stream, welcome. My name is Omi Daryani. I'm the senior brand manager for the EverQuest franchise, which means EverQuest, EverQuest 2, EverQuest Next, and Landmark. I'm happy to answer questions and discuss that stuff. I'm playing Hearthstone right now because I love TCGs, and I'm just happy to talk about anything. And I am drinking scotch. So this is an example of a turn that I'm really happy with here. Like, I'm going to play the Voidwalker and I'm going to draw a card. So every time, the goal of this deck is every time I do anything, I'm either breaking even or making a much better trade. So this guy is probably, considering that he's playing a Dalaran Mage, is probably fairly new. And is probably going to try to hit me with a whole bunch of big fireballs at the end of the game. So that's good to keep an eye out for. So again, I'll draw another card. I'm going to play Nat Pagal because he doesn't have a lot up. And this card, this is one of the legendaries that's just really good because if I hit end turn, I have a 50% chance that I draw a card. And then people immediately kill him. And it's really, really hard to kill him. So he's going to have to use a fireball or a polymorph or something like that. Oh, and he's not going to do any of that. He's saving up for a flame strike. Oh, that's cute. Very cute. So now I have some options that are interesting. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play Demon Fire on him. It's a great card because it can sort of go either way, be removal or damage. Now I'm just going to take this guy out. I'm going to use the Shadow Bolt here, take this guy out. You know, both of those were cheaper than what the guy paid for the original spell. And as you can see, if you just watch every turn, right, I just keep having more cards and he has fewer cards. And that's what I'm trying to do. So again, I hit with Nat Pagal and my hand gets a little bigger. And every time that happens, it's going to be tough for him to get me. With Oculus Rift dual camera support, will it be possible to use a single camera with UI and stream record a second camera with new eye? Well, again, we don't know if we're going to have an Oculus Rift support yet. If we do, we are going to do everything we can to have, to use the full suite of its functionality. Alright, so it's coming up on turn 7, which means he's going to have a Flame Strike. So I'll play the Argent Commander, because this will be really annoying for him to deal with. And now what I've got is Soulfire. Oh man, so I've hit with Nat Pagal 3 times in a row, so I think that that's going to be the death of him just by itself. And now he's just going to try to kill it. Alright, let me see what I do here. If that's the destroy him, that's a bummer, but that is a bummer. But that's okay, nothing I can do about that. He probably feels pretty good right at the moment. I think what I'm gonna do is play out a couple of these guys. And so now he's probably gonna try to Flame Strike here, and he's gonna feel really good about it, but he's actually gonna lose 3 cards in the process of Flame Striking, right? Because that draws me a card, that drew me a card, and he drew me 3 cards. So he basically just discarded, and I have so many cards that I can't even hold them all. So I'll go ahead and play Ragnaros, and he'll just do 8 to the guy's face. If he's lucky, he has a Polymorph. If he's not lucky, then he's in a lot of trouble. Yeah, so this guy is pretty new. He's probably, playing mostly with the basic set cards. So he's, and this is one thing. This is why I don't recommend playing Constructed until you have a pretty decent set of cards. Is like Nat Pagal, which is dead, is just completely unfair if you don't have, these cards. Ragnaros is completely unfair and difficult to keep up with. So, this guy is in just a whole lot of trouble, and I have no idea how he's possibly going to get out of it, but that's more his problem than mine. So this is where you can start getting a little cheeky. So I'm going to use the Soulfire here, hopefully not discard Jaraxxus, yeah. And that way Ragnaros will just hit him again. Yeah, Tobrin isn't bearded enough to be a brand manager. He isn't bearded enough to be much of anything, to be honest. He's really got to work on that. I had the honor of meeting Tobrin at the end of January. He came to our office, which was awesome. He actually traveled further than anyone, and we really appreciated that. So it was really cool to actually, get to meet a streamer face to face and chat through stuff and see what he was thinking. And the trip was just too short, unfortunately, and I got sick, so sick after that show, so I couldn't hang out, which was a little bit of a bummer. Alright, so I have some options here. Probably just going to Hellfire, because, again, remember the thing I said earlier, right? You look at his hand, he has 1 card now, I have 6. and I'm going to play a couple things, and he's probably either got a flame strike or he's just going to concede real soon. Yeah, I got so sick after that event. I think because everyone at work was getting sick the whole month of January. Like, John Smedley, the president of SOE, got sick at CES, which was the first week of January, and then I think just over the course of several days, everyone in the office got sick, and I don't know what it was. Either through just sort of sheer force of will, I managed to not die and get through the event and get alpha launch and stuff like that, and then I went home after the event and laid down on my floor and went to sleep for like 6 or 8 hours. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah, Tobin, you should totally enter for Girl. It's actually not just for girls. So it actually stands for Gamer in Real Life. But for folks who don't know, Girl is a scholarship program that SOE does every year where you can have somebody come in and do an internship at the company on one of the game teams and do some really cool stuff. And I think last year we had an artist, so it looks like one of you folks wants to battle. So I will battle. Let me pull back here and do that. So this is something I've wondered, because I've never done this on a stream before. How do you deal with the fact that my opponent now is going to be able to see my hand and stuff like that? That's strange to me. Or gallons of alcohol that we were drinking at the party. Well, not that much alcohol, but there were certainly at least liters of alcohol. Alright, so let's see. He's playing Rogue, so he's going to come in fast. So this is actually a really good hand. If he plays an early Defias Ringleader, I have Mortal Coil for one of them. If he plays a whole bunch of dudes, I have Hellfire. Of course, it's not going to be much of a surprise if he's watching the stream. Oh, Wolf, which one are you? And of course, since this is someone who is on my stream, I'm not going to make too much fun of him. But I'll go ahead and play the Knife Juggler with the coin early to try to put pressure on, and also because if he doesn't do anything next turn, I can spend my mana to draw another card. Oh, cool. Well, let's play sometime, Wolf. That'll be fun. Rumbleforge, I bet if you email Brass, if it's still on her phone, she will send it to you, or just send her a tweet. I bet she'll send it to you if she still has it. Rumbleforge asks, what are the SOE Live conventions like? Are there lots of things to do? Yeah, so I can give you sort of a quick overview. I've been at SOE for about 2 years now, so I've been to 2 of them. And I gotta say, it's really just about the most fun I've ever had at a gaming convention, because it's way different than most gaming conventions, like way different than going to, Gen Con or BlizzCon or Gamescom or, any of them. And the reason is because it's really small. Like, we really only bring in like a couple thousand people max, and because of that, we get a lot more like one-on-one time with people, and we can actually take the time, and not just that we can, but we are mandated to. Like, it comes from from John Smedley and everyone on the team that you actually are supposed to spend as much time talking to players as you can. Obviously we still have to run the show and make sure everything's going, but aside from that, like, the primary thing we want to do is spend time with our fans. And it's really cool to actually just be able to sit down for a half hour or an hour and just talk to people. And because we do the events at Planet Hollywood, so it's a casino, right? And it has bars and restaurants and things in it. So you don't really ever have to leave. And, there's just a bar downstairs where we all hang out. And so even after the show is over, even to pretty late at night, like, you can meet the devs, you can hang out with us. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, as for things to do, there are panels every day, like pretty much a full schedule of panels. To the point where, like, it's actually pretty difficult to attend all of them. There are the presentations, like, what happened? Oh, I played another one of those guys. Okay, well, so in this game, I'm doing the same strategy I was last game, which is I'm gonna just try to keep playing annoying cards, keep giving him a hard time, and keep forcing him into situations where he has to give up card economy to me. But yeah, I think at the 2 SOE lives in total, and they're like 4-day events. So for us, they're 5 or 6 day events because we have setup and we usually have the press there a day early and that sort of stuff. During the 2 of them, I think I probably slept an average of 2 hours a night, something like that. Just because there's so much to do, like, so much time to spend with players, so much time to spend, with people, like our business partners come in, the press is all there, and it's Vegas. So, there's plenty of stuff to do just for being in Vegas. And it's insanely fun. So I highly recommend it. Even if I didn't work at SOE, I would still go. It's that much fun. And, I would highly recommend, if you're considering going, to get your reserve your spot immediately, because honestly, I think it's going to sell out real fast this year. All right, what do I want to do here? I think this is a decent option. It could end poorly for me, but again, all the cards are efficient enough that even if someone steals back some efficiency from me, it's really hard for me to feel bad about it. And you get to see Lock and Foo drunk 24/7. I am really looking forward to that, to be honest. They seem fairly entertaining. Oh, Paradox, yeah, good call. The pool party. Hey, what happened to that guy? Oh, he crashed into that. Let's see. So a couple options here, but I think this guy is dead. Normally I have the ooze to break his sword, but I'm just going to do this because it's going to do 8, and then I have the Hellfire next turn. Tanaris MMO. Yeah, it's probably not a Tanaris MMO, but you never know. Let's see. Yeah, that was fun. Thanks for the game, PSN. And now I will play... Oh, you're not ready. You're already playing somebody. Well, I'll hop it. Well, let me see. I'll take a look at chat and see if there's stuff to talk about until you're ready, and if not, I'll hop into another game. Yeah, Minecon, I haven't been, but I hear it's really cool too. And BlizzCon is really cool. I've been to that a few times. It's just like a way different vibe because it's so big. And one of the things that we discussed after this last SOE Live is like, hey, maybe we should make the next one way bigger because with yeah, okay, I'll fight. We'll have to wait, Wolf. Uh, but we discussed like, hey, maybe we should make it way bigger than the last one. And in the discussion, we're like, well, if we do that, we end up losing that ability to connect with players one on one and just in those small groups, which is really the piece of feedback we get as being the most important thing, and also the thing that I think we like the most. So, we're going to try to keep it around the same size, but I think demand is going to be way up, which is why I highly recommend that you book early, as early as you can. And, I know pretty sure we haven't actually put the pre-sales up yet, but that should be happening fairly soon. Yeah, and the pool party, as Paradox mentioned, is pretty epic, and a lot of fun. It's got open bars and multiple pools, and this year we had Akil Hooper, the EQ2 creative director. He did fire dancing. He's like a pretty badass fire dancer. Actually had him. He did it at one of my parties, my Comic-Con party, and then he also did it at Dave Georgeson's Halloween party. And then he did it at the community event, the campus event we did, and it's pretty awesome. So, we just have random stuff like that. We have talent, just tons of talented people in the community. There's also some very awkward photos of me from the last pool party wearing some pretty ridiculous pants that I'm sure can be found on the internet. So let's see here. Playing against the priest, it's interesting with this deck. The strategy is really similar in every game. It's be aggressive up front, try to generate efficiency through that aggression, and then, capitalize when you have the chance. Like right here, this card would normally be a 1-for-1 trade, the 2 damage card, but now I just get to kill that. I still have a 3/2, and I get to push in this damage. So it's very, very aggressive, and now he still has to deal with this guy who's a pretty big problem. Yeah, and yeah, I see you don't have very many cards, and that's rough, right? Like I was saying earlier too, that playing constructed Hearthstone is really, really hard if you don't have the right cards. You're just going to get crushed by people who do. And I have the right cards for this deck, and I have the right cards for my rogue deck, and so they're very, very difficult to play against. So this is a slightly unfortunate situation because I don't know, maybe it's not. Let's see, because I have options. I could attack him for 3 and then Hellfire, or I could attack both of them and trade that for that, and then this will absorb that. I think I'm going to do that just to see what card I draw here. Yeah, that went pretty well. So what I'm going to do now is this, and throw a card here. Because I get so much card advantage, I don't mind tossing the cards to Soulfire very aggressively. What do I think about Star Citizen? I think that they have had a hell of a Kickstarter campaign. I am so impressed, and I've done some work with other folks on Kickstarter and seen how difficult it is to actually get people on board to give you the kind of money that you need for one of these projects. And so it's been really impressive to see what they've been capable of doing. So I'm really excited, and I like those guys. I like their games, all the way back. So I'm really excited to play Star Citizen also. All right. So our friend here has played Chillwind Yeti, which is pound for pound probably the best card in the game, like the most efficient card, certainly at the 4 cost. I can kill it, but it will be annoying to me. So what I'm going to do is just ignore that it exists and force him to play into me and see how that goes. Yeah, tickets aren't on sale yet. I'm not exactly sure when they're going on sale, but it should be pretty soon. We've announced the dates and stuff, but we will, and this is very important to, follow our social channels, follow me on Twitter. The second that we post for sale, everyone will tweet. We want to make sure that our core fans get in first. Let's see, what do I mean when I say aggressive? So there are two ways that you can really approach a game like this. You can be proactive or you can be reactive. And when you're proactive, then it's completely up to you to set the pace of what's happening, right? Like this is a great example of a proactive card, right? It has charge and divine shield, and because of that, he gets to basically kill him or him all by himself without any worries. So that puts my opponent back on his heels and forces him to try to recover. So that's what I'm going to do. And the more generally, and I think it's really true in Hearthstone, the more proactive you are, the better, because people aren't very good at this game right now, and the faster your deck is, then the less time your opponent has to recover, and the less time your opponent has to, figure out how to beat you. So, I like to play very aggressively, because it also means that if your opponent makes mistakes, then you can capitalize double or triple or quadruple on them. See you later, Rumble. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully we'll see you again. Alright. So now I have some pretty solid plays. The first thing I want to do is get him off the table, because I want to see if... So his ability will do 1 damage to a random enemy. I'm hoping that I can get it to do the damage to the Lightwell, because if it does, then it's really easy for me to kill it. Yes. So now I can do that and still hit for 4. And because I've used my mana so efficiently, I just get a free card. And at the end of the day, if you remember too what I said, the whole strategy of this game is their side keeps diminishing, less cards in hand, less things on board, and then my hand is just so full of stupid stuff that they can't really deal with it. Yeah, well, if it looks like this game should be over fairly quickly, there's a couple cards he could play to slow it down, but I think it's a tough situation. Geek Domo, thanks for stopping by, and thank you so much for the all the graphics and things. They're so great. I can't tell you how happy I am. We'll talk again soon. Let's see. What effect, if any, does Sony Santa Monica closing for having SOE? Or what effect, if any, does Sony Santa Monica closing have for SOE? Were we able to pick up any devs? I'm not sure if we actually picked up anybody from Santa Monica. It didn't affect us. It didn't have any repercussions for us or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, the different divisions of Sony, we work together sometimes, but I think especially SOE is sort of doing its own thing, because it's, it does something much different. Like, we make EverQuest, we make PlanetSide, like we make very core, PC first games, and, most of the Sony gaming sections focus on PlayStation 4, obviously. Alright, well, it looks like this game's over. Good game. Good game, man. Let's see. Paradox Moose asks, would you prioritize using your character's ability over a 2-cost card? That is a great question. And I would say that the answer is usually no. And that's because most of the time, most of the character abilities aren't that good. Uh, they're useful and like have good functionality. James, yeah, it was a good game. I think this deck is really good, and it's really tough to beat. So yeah, you played really well. Thank you. Uh, but yeah, like most of the abilities are utility abilities, not things you want to lead with. Like the Warlock ability is far and away the best one. In any TCG, the best abilities are the ones that let you draw cards because it gives you more options. So this is the only ability that lets you draw cards. So it has a very, very high likelihood of just being the best ability. I mean, you think about it, right? And look at the difference between the Priest ability and the Warlock ability. So the Priest ability is heal 2 damage from anything. Uh, which means that something has to have 2 damage on it to actually be affected by it. So right now, it's completely useless. He can't do it at all. Whereas at any time I want, I can use my 2-cost ability to draw a card. It always has utility until I can't pay for it anymore because I'm too weak. And so now I'm playing against another person in the stream. This is Wolf AK, and nice to see you, Wolf. As I said, I'm happy to play folks from the stream and talk about it. This is my handle is greenface hashtag 1929. Easy to remember because of that whole stock market crash. So here, I don't really have anything to do, so I'll just get a free card. Now, if I want, I could use the coin and play another Voidwalker, but I don't think I'm going to because that coin can have a good amount of utility. Kimball says, you guys should start some surprises for us in landmark updates that we don't know about until we discover online. Ooh, that was a good play. Don't have a good answer to that. Honestly, I think I'm going to lose this game based on that happening. So I'm going to draw some more cards and hope that I can find a solution for that because this guy is pretty big for turn 3. So Kimball, yeah, the surprise updates. It's an interesting thing because on one hand, we definitely like the idea of surprising folks, but on the other hand, we really like the idea of telling people, what's happening next. All right. 3-7. So this will work. This is not... Oh, no, it won't. I don't have enough. Oh, I do. Yeah. So... I can at least get this guy off the board now. This is an example of getting crushed because look how many cards I had to use to just kill one guy. And that's exactly what I want to be doing with my deck. So that puts me in a really bad situation. We'll see how it goes. Wolf says that he was also ranked 10 until the reset, so his deck should be pretty good. Let's see. Anything special I can talk about for the EQ anniversary next week? The EQ anniversary is March 16th, so it's not quite next week, but it's coming up real soon. And I can't talk about it yet, but we have some really cool stuff planned. The 16th is the Sunday, and then next week is GDC. So, one of the things, too, is because we knew it was on a Sunday this year, which is kind of a bummer, we decided that this year would be the year of EverQuest, so that we weren't just celebrating it one day out of the year. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, this game's basically over. we didn't want to just celebrate it one day out of the year because it's a big deal. Like, it's really important to us, and we wouldn't be doing Landmark if not for original EverQuest. We wouldn't be doing EverQuest Next if not for original EverQuest. So, everything we're doing this year is because of this game. So we're really passionate about making sure that, this year we reflect on that all year long. And this is going to be just terrible. But I got nothing else to do. So we'll see. And, so my back is against the wall here, and I have Lord Jaraxxus, which is pretty sneaky, because I can go all the way down to 1 life. Just as long as I don't die, I can play Lord Jaraxxus, and he gives me a bunch of juicy new abilities and 15 life again. Ooh, that's rough. This is rough, but it's not terrible because I have these Argent Commanders. So he's gonna cheat ahead of me over and over, but he might run out of gas. And that's really the only thing I can hope for, is that he runs out of gas. Oof. That was bad, but I also have this Siphon Soul, so that's gonna be helpful. Let's see. What kind of rat? I mean dog. Yes, very, very accurate observation. That is actually a poodle named Rosie. Rosie was my mom's dog. It was actually my grandmother's dog. My grandmother passed away. So we ended up taking her. My mom had her for a while, but my mom has far too many dogs. So we ended up taking her to adopt her out, and that'll do it. So good game, man. And I was very close to turning this around, but obviously didn't quite make it. Yeah, we'll have to test some, Wolf. It's good to have somebody, that's pretty solid on my friends list, because I've mostly just been doing random games. But yeah, so she is a disgustingly tiny little poodle. And she is very cute. Unfortunately, he did not get to face Jaraxxus. That song they made on YouTube, yeah, that was really funny. And then Neurotoxin says, "Why don't you get an EQ cake at the office once a day for the whole year?" And I think that the answer to that is because we will die if we eat that much cake. We already have donuts on Friday, and that feels like it's really kind of pushing on our health. So, yeah, and, of course we have Emily Taylor, Pentapod, who is just a terrible, terrible influence, bringing cookies and candy and stuff to the office every day. So yeah, we definitely don't need any more unhealthy stuff. And yeah, that was a really good game, Wolf. Thank you so much for playing. I was saying while you were out that it's really nice to have someone on my friends list who is a solid player too, and we should test some more sometime. So I just poured myself some more scotch, so cheers, guys. And now I'll hop back into the queue and play some more rank and see how this goes with the Warlock deck. Oh, maybe. Come on, buddy. Hearthstone is being funny, apparently. Let's see. Question: if two friends had a claim right next to each other with additional claim flags, how close could they build towards one another if they wanted to combine their build? Well, you will be able to, and let me switch this back to me while I figure out what is going on with Hearthstone, because it looks like it's just frozen up. But you'll be able to actually completely join your claims to one another, so they'll be able to touch. like, this close, like flush against each other, and be turned into one claim if you want to. That's, I'm not sure if that will be completely in the next update, but that's the goal. That's where we're going. Let's see. All right, I've gotten things restarted. Looks like it's working. So here we go. Welcome to everyone if you're just joining. My name is Obi Dariani. I'm the senior brand manager for the EverQuest franchise. So EverQuest 2, Landmark, and EverQuest Next. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to talk. We're giving out some Prime Grappler codes for the game. Landmark is currently in alpha, so you can get one of the grappling hooks. They're really awesome. And I'm happy to talk about any of this stuff. Let's see. What is the gold cost to play in Arena? It is 150 gold. So a pack costs 100, and even if you lose all three, like if you go 0 for 3, you get a pack back. So it's never like a complete losing proposition. And then I think it's at the point that you get your 3 and 3, you make 150 points worth of value total, even though it's not directly in gold. And at the point that you have won 7 games, then you actually turn a profit in gold and still get the pack. But I highly recommend playing in Arena. It's a really good skill to learn. It's very difficult when you start, but when you get good at it, it is worth a ton. So it looks like my opponent is playing a very, very aggressive hunter deck. These can be a little annoying for my deck, but as long as I can just keep him off the early attacks, I usually can win these. So he's going to get the 4-2, and he's going to attack Pagel, which is great for me. So now I can just kill that guy. Let's see. Oh, and it's raining. I know for most folks that's not that interesting, but here in San Diego it barely ever rains, and we're having what we would consider a torrential downpour, which is really just sort of heavy rain pretty much anywhere else in the world. But it's pretty cool because we don't get to see it that often. We actually heard thunder for the first time in a long time this morning, so that was kind of cool. Alright, I'm going to try to catch up on some of the chat. Will claims work underground once caves are introduced? So caves are going to be a little while off. So I would say the answer to your question is almost certainly by the time caves are introduced, we should have underground claims working. Alright, what do I want to do here? This is not a great turn for me. Shield Masta is actually really good. You don't see him that often, and the fact that he's playing him makes me think this guy is actually a fairly new player because his deck isn't heavily themed one way or another. So I'm going to do that, shoot him with that, and be done. Let's see what happens. Let's see. That was your 1000th win. Congrats, Wolf. And Wolf, we can chat off stream about arena strategy too. I'm happy to walk you through some stuff. I think whoa, there was lightning. There was lightning, people. I think for the chat, probably the kind of stuff that you would want to talk about will be a little too advanced. But I definitely, and I would love to hear your thoughts too, because I'm not the best person in the world at it either. And congrats on your 1000th win. Let's see. How do I choose my classes other than Mage Paladin for Arena? I primarily choose my classes based on how disruptive their cards are, how effective the removal is. So I think that Mage is easily the best in Arena Paladin is the second best because it has a great combination of removal, weapons, and the character ability is the second best one, I think. Uh, then my third favorite class is Shaman because it has just a tremendous amount of disruptive additional cards. Oh, I'm very happy with this play that I'm gonna make. I'm actually gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna do this a little differently and see what happens. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm just hoping to steal an extra point of damage here, but with my. Oh yeah, I got it. I just wanted to shoot him, and now what I'm gonna do is Mortal Coil him. Mortal Coil usually does one, but thanks to this, it does two. So that just gets him off the board and makes me happy. So Shaman is my next choice. And once you go past Shaman, I think Warrior. No, Druid. I like Druid next. Again, it has really good removal, and those big dudes are so hard to deal with. And then Warrior, and then past that, I have no idea what I'm doing, and never have a good time. So I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah, and so Stampeding Kodo, which I've just drawn a couple of, is another one of these great 2-for-1 cards. It's actually sort of on the bubble. Like, I normally wouldn't, it costs so much that it's not super efficient. But, I mean, just look at what's happening here, right? Like, my opponent just played this 2-3, so I'm going to attack and take the 2 damage from this secret. But, normally I would need to use him there. But now I'll just get to drop this, eat the River Crocolisk. Now my opponent is looking at a 4-2 that he still has to deal with and this 3-5 that he has to deal with and has got to be sitting here going, well, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. And so I feel pretty good about this board. Eight feet of snow. Chrono, remind me where you live again? Yeah, Sandy, I mean, this is one of the reasons that I live in San Diego, is the weather is so good. You actually just don't even have to look at the weather reports. You don't have to do anything. Like, you start to forget about weather to the point where, like, I can't remember, I think I flew to New York one time. I'm on the plane sitting there thinking, wow, it really feels like I'm forgetting something, but I can't think of what. And then I get off the plane, the door opens, I'm like, oh, I know what, a coat. I forgot to take a coat to New York because that's how good the weather is. You just forget that you would ever need one. RTF Moz, yes, I do record them and post them onto my YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is right here, so I highly suggest following me there. I'll also be streaming. I'm trying to stream every weekend at least because I'm having a good time. So I'll be back next week. Have a great trip in Vietnam. Sergeant Stackus won a Prime Grappler code. Boo. Sergeant Stackus is on Into the Portal and is pretty cool, but I already sent him one. So, oh, that's nice. He's going to have a reroll there. Is there any chance of making a cylinder primitive? Making spheres and cutting them to make curves and arches is kind of wonky. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're going to put one in. Making one is definitely not impossible, but I know that with some of the curve stuff, like people have requested, for example, really small spheres, but at some point the spheres get so small that they no longer work properly in the voxel engine, which is why there's sort of a limit to where it goes. But, it also becomes, I think, a complexity issue, right? Because we could put every possible tool that you can imagine into the game, but then when you load it up, it's a lot like loading up Photoshop or Maya, and as a person who didn't know anything about Photoshop the first time I opened it, I looked at that thing and went, oh my god, no one could ever do this. And we want to make sure that the game is really accessible, So there is some amount of balance there. And, so we're looking at it now and determining which tools, which pieces we should add, which pieces we may want to remove. Not that I think we'll remove any of them. But, that's the whole point of alpha and beta. Someone snapped directly beneath my claim. I am on a slope that had a small split of land jutting underneath. So now there's a giant hole beneath my castle, and I can't snap to my own with my +1 claim. Is that intended? I'm having a hard time visualizing what you mean, Aslan. If you could take some screenshots and tweet them to me, I'd definitely send that along to the team. Are you? Is it that you're getting trolled? Is that how you're feeling? Will we ever see free rotation, Daystars asks, or will it forever be snap to grid construction? Right now, I think that we're leaning towards keeping it on the grid, and that's primarily because if we start doing free rotation, then people are going to have massive amounts of inefficiency in their claims, and we would just prefer that not happen. We would prefer that people don't have inefficient claims. And while more advanced players are doing that intentionally, less advanced players are going to also do it, and they're going to mess it up, and they're going to feel bad, because it's like, oh crap, I didn't want my claim to do that, and now they have to pick it up, and every single time that happens, right, it becomes part of a building negative experience that kind of makes you say, well, maybe I don't want to play this game anymore. And since it's a free-to-play game, once people leave, they're just gone, and we really can never get them back. So we're very cognizant of that. Well, so this is going to be fun. This guy is playing, it looks like, the super aggressive Murloc deck, since he played a Murloc Tidecaller. This is probably going to get real ugly, especially with my hand being Jaraxxus and Siphon Soul, which are both pretty damn expensive cards. So we'll see. Killer Corn asks, will Landmark Alpha founders and Trailblazers get early access to EverQuest Next Alpha? It is not planned for that to happen currently. And the main reason is actually a legal reason, that we can't promise things that we can't put dates on. If we promise something and we can't put a date on it, then our legal team gets very concerned, because a big part of promising something is actually delivering it, right? If I say, if we were to say, for example, that you definitely do get that access, right? Then right now, immediately, everyone should say, hey, so when do I get that thing? Because I paid $100 for it. And since we can't tell you, partially because we're still working on it, we're not exactly sure when it's going to be. Yeah, I'm just going to get crushed this game. We're not exactly sure when it's going to be. We can't promise that, so we need to keep them separate. Whew, boy. Well, that would be good if I had the mana up for it, but I'm sure, well, yeah. Yeah, I'm basically dead. I just want to see what he's going to do. But that was a tough draw. And this is Paradox, why I highly suggest playing aggressive decks, because, I have good cards in my hand, but they're not going to solve these problems. And, if I had enough time to play them, I would probably win, but I'm never going to get to play them, so it doesn't matter how good they are. So that super, super aggressive play just ends the games earlier and makes people play on your schedule instead of theirs. Legal Smeagol. Yeah, it's funny. Like, all the legal stuff is. It's one of the things that we don't make very visible to people, like at any company I've ever worked at, just because, like, for two reasons. One, it's boring. No one wants to know about all the legal details of why we do or don't do things, and also because it's like fairly complex, and requires, like, being a lawyer is one of the most complicated jobs that you can get for a good reason. Do we have an update coming soon? Yes. The goal with Landmark is to basically do weekly updates, to whatever extent we can. I mean, I think that at the very least we'll have minor patches and small improvements, but this week is actually going to be a fairly significant patch. So we're adding two new biomes, the tundra and the old growth forest, which are going to be really cool. We're adding some new islands that will have those on them. Uh, and let's see. Oh man, this is a really ugly hand. Because I have nothing but reactive spells, right? I have two Hellfires, which are really kind of difficult cards to play anyway. And then the only monster I have is Ragnaros, which I'm not going to be able to play anytime soon. But yeah, so we're adding the new biomes, adding the new islands, and then adding a bunch of, like, claim related functionality that's gonna make it a lot easier to build collaboratively. Because right now everyone's just having to build, their own stuff. But the big vision for Landmark is, like, massive building projects, like people coming together and putting together stuff that it would take one person months to do. All right, let's see some more questions. Yeah, Krona says, I'm hearing a lot of people who want, smaller amounts of rotation. Yeah, and we are too. And, that's one of the things, like, that's why we opened up the alpha, is that it gives us the chance to talk to people in a much more intimate setting than we normally do. Normally, like, the first time players get to have any input on the game is in beta, and most of the systems are designed, and there's not much we can change. So, our goal this time was to really be able to impact things. So, we're basically discussing the, should you be able to rotate on different degrees all the time. Oh, this is ugly. Let's see. So I have 3, 6, 9 cards in my hand. I'm actually gonna go get a 10th card, and then use one of these soul fires to kill that guy. Let's see what I lose. Oh, of course I lose Ragnaros. That's rough. And be done. I'm hoping that he'll sense blood in the water here and play a couple more little guys, and then I can Hellfire. Even this will be okay. I mean, I'm taking a lot of damage, so this game could very easily end for me at any moment, but hopefully I can get around this. The toughest thing this deck actually has, the tough matchups, are the super, super aggressive, I'm just playing charge characters, and I don't even care what you're doing, I'm just trying to do 30 damage. So I'm trying to shore that up, and I think that's the missing piece this deck has right now. Alright, let's see. Have I tried Scotchy Scotch ice cream? I actually haven't. I've been meaning to, though. Maybe I'll go get it today. Good suggestion. See, this is one of the mitigators for the super aggressive decks, is Siphon Soul, which gets me back damage. And then a lot of times Lord Jaraxxus really helps too, because they get me to like 7 or 8, and then I go back up to 15. But I've been thinking of adding Alexstrasza as just another life gain. I had the gain 3 life 3/3s for a while, um, but I don't know. Still tweaking this deck. Krona, yeah. The goal of Landmark is to patch every Wednesday during Landmark Live to force people to watch the show. That's really funny. We've actually joked about that numerous times, and you know, it is certainly convenient on one level, but we also have, you know, the need for having the live server up a lot of the time during the show. Druid's Fire says, wait, I'm sorry, Kander's Mayhem. What are you talking about? Let's see. Oh, the Alpha Potion. Yeah, so with the Alpha Potion, it's mostly just that we've been trying to get it in there and it hasn't been working. For stuff like that, we're definitely going to do something in beta as like a make good, because we feel really bad that the Alpha Potion, you know, isn't working the way that we wanted it to. And, you know, that kind of stuff just happens from time to time. There really wasn't anything we could do about it. So we're gonna do something to take care of folks. We just haven't determined what yet. But yeah, I mean, the that boost was intended to be, you know, really useful for people coming into the game for the first time. Obviously, the fact that it's not functional is pretty suboptimal, and so yeah, we'll take care of it in closed beta, you know, with some similar thing hopefully. This is ugly. Yeah, that Bloodhoof guy is pretty good. The way that he just gets 2/4/5s. I don't have any silence cards in this deck, which is tough for stuff like that. But it seems very likely that I've lost this game. Yep. Legendary Neurotoxin asks, during Alpha, will we be able to use Player Studio to submit items and stats for things that others could find in the world? I would say that most likely we're not going to have Player Studio implemented during Alpha. And that's just because, you know, we're trying to get it implemented as quickly as possible. But it's a fairly complicated piece because it requires both, what do you call it? Both the like interface in the game, you know, the marketplace sort of thing, and you know, we started talking about like our monetization strategy because we're starting to build that marketplace. You know, it requires us to have that, and it also requires us to have this other fairly complex layer of things, you know, like ability for you to submit tax paperwork, you know, the procedure to submit something to Player Studio to be reviewed, and a lot of like fairly complicated systems. The way we've done Player Studio on other games, which is you submit things and then they go to our art directors, and our art directors really work directly with people on making them work, is just not going to work in the long term for Landmark because it's so huge. Like, I mean, the scale of it, and because you don't need to use Maya in order to, it looks like Lucklin has sent some folks over, so welcome if you're coming in from there. Nice to see you guys. Lucklin runs a Minecraft stream, and one of his fans gifted him with Landmark yesterday, and one of them was kind enough to tweet me and say that he was streaming, and I, you know, anytime that I can, I try to, we love you guys too, telling the story about how I met Lucklin yesterday. I try to pop into those streams and just, you know, at least say hi and introduce myself, you know, and say like, hey, you know, you can, you know, if you have any questions, like, you know, you can always send me a tweet or give me a call. Like, you know, we want to support streamers. Like, you know, we love the big streamers, but we also really like sort of mid-level and the people who are kind of like me, just starting up. because we feel like those people are really passionate about what they're doing, and we're a company of passionate people, so we want to support that. So I popped into the stream not with no expectations at all, and just saw a dude who was having his first experiences and loving it, and nerding out and doing all those things that we all did the first time that we saw it. And it was really, really cool to see that. And so, started chatting with him, and, gave him some packs to give out to his fans. Cause, I think most of his folks are more Minecraft focused, and, we love Minecraft, and obviously with Landmark, we want Minecraft players playing it. So it was really cool to see him say, oh my god, like this is what I've been waiting for, I'm so excited, and all that stuff. So I think it's the start of a hopefully beautiful relationship. So let me try to catch up with the chat now that we've got some other folks in here. And so for people who don't know me, my name is Omid Daryani. I'm the senior brand manager of the EverQuest franchise. So EverQuest, EverQuest 2, Landmark, and EverQuest Next. So I can answer questions, talk about any of them. This is my personal stream, and I've just started streaming. So I'm happy, I would love any feedback you guys have on how I'm doing. But I'm playing Hearthstone primarily because as much as I love Landmark and Minecraft, I'm not very good at building things. Everything that I build has this sort of sad Soviet look to it. It doesn't have any character. So, I feel like watching me build in Landmark is not helping sell the game in any way. So I play something that I'm good at, which is Hearthstone, and I'll probably play other games as well too, but I've been playing that because I can kind of do it without paying tons and tons of attention to it, because what I really want to do is talk to you guys in the stream. So if you have any questions or want to talk about anything, just let me know. I haven't been faring too well in Hearthstone tonight. That's true. It's been a little bit rough, but that's okay. Constructed is really difficult in Hearthstone. It's really hard to beat some of these decks, but it's all right. Let's see, more questions. There's been talk about how immersive and vibrant the crafting system is going to be. Can you be a bit more revealing than what Roundtable has said, or at a minimum, get someone to talk about it so those of us who want an immersive crafting system can get some warm fuzzies? Well, so I assume you're talking about for EverQuest Next. And the primary reason that we haven't been talking about it yet is that it's still a little bit far away. And someone asked a little earlier too if EverQuest Next would come out this year, and John Smedley has said that it will come out in 2015. So we want to get it out just as soon as we can, but we want to make sure that it's good. So the main reason that we haven't been talking in detail about things like crafting systems or the mechanics of PvP is a lot of that stuff is still being designed, and we have good ideas, but we want to put some of them into Landmark. We want to see how they work there and see what people are doing, and then we want to spend more time actually designing them before we roll them out. So we'll start talking in more detail about systems for EverQuest Next. We're just not quite ready yet. Oh, Don, sorry. A good friend, and you gave it to him. Well, thank you so much for giving him that pack, because it sounds like he really liked it, and I'm really excited, super excited based on just some conversations that I had with Lachlan about, getting feedback from him, not just having him talk about it on the stream, but, just seeing what he thinks, because having had such a deep experience with Minecraft, there's a lot that we can learn, I'm sure. So I'm really excited. Let's see, so where should you send this screenshot? You can tweet it to me. My Twitter link is right below the stream here. I highly recommend you follow me there. I spend a lot more time there than on streams. So, if you want Landmark news, if you want to hear disastrous stories about my life and awkward things that happen to me, that's the best place for it. I'd also appreciate it if you follow me here on Twitch, because I'm really enjoying streaming, so I'd love to have people show up when I'm streaming. And then I've got my YouTube and Facebook links there as well. Let's see. I'll get better with practice. Yeah, that's true. I've been saying that my whole life. I always wanted to be an artist, but whenever I've drawn something, so there's an artist named Gabor Székely, and for the EQN folks, right? You've seen the piece of art, the reinterpretation of the Keith Parkinson piece. He is the artist that did that, and he's actually a pretty good friend of mine. And we were hanging out. He's from let's see, he's from Hungary, and is a very, very blunt and straightforward person. And I was telling him like, oh, I can't draw, like I don't have that side of creativity at all. He's like, no, everyone can draw. Like, trust me, everyone has the ability. It just takes practice. And so then I pulled up on my iPad. I had this old app called Paper, where I had drawn something, as seriously as I could, like trying to do something that was decent. I'm like, so what do you think of this? And he looked at it and he was like, oh, well, for some people they aren't artists, but so yeah, it's really really frustrating for me, but my creativity just goes in a different direction, I guess. When Landmark goes live, will it have futuristic weapon equivalents of fantasy ones? I don't know. We're discussing that because it has huge implications on game design and just the flavor of the world, right? But if we're gonna say that it's all genres, right, we have to really consider how to do that and what we can do about it. So we're talking about it. We haven't decided yes or no on that just yet, but it's certainly under discussion. My number one wish in Landmark is regaining the ability to template plants. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely coming back. We just have to figure it out. A lot of the stuff, because we're still in alpha, things break, things don't work the way that we think. In the case of microvoxels, which is something that we found out about sort of end of last week, an entirely new type of building just emerged. And that was like mind blowing. So, we're really early in this thing, and, which is one of the reasons why, it's not a huge broad game. We're really focusing on core players right now because they're the kinds of people who are going to give us the feedback that we're looking for. And, bear with us when things break or when people lose stuff, that sort of thing. So yeah, the plant templating ability will be back, I'm sure. Will there be the ability to craft outside of claims and build things like bridges and community walls, plans for roads? I don't know. It's something we've talked about a lot and something that there is interest in. It's really a difficult system to create because, like, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, right? We do want people to build roads and bridges and walls, but we know that for every road or bridge that gets built, there's also going to be a bunch of giant craters that people build. So trying to figure out and trying to come up with a system where we